Okay, so this is pretty cool. I was here at the shop yesterday and I get a phone call from my equipment dealer who is actually also my service, repair mechanics. And they called and said and asked if I had a hedge trimmer that was stolen. And I was like, yeah, actually I do. It's been about a year. He said, well, somebody brought it in to get it serviced, and our records showed that it was yours and that you had a note on there on the account that said if this hedge trimmer gets returned or gets brought in to call me, it's been stolen. So their policy is to call the owner, and then the owner can call the police or call the guy, whoever brought it in, and kind of work out the details or whatever. I said to the mechanic, it wasn't that guy that brought it in that stole it, because we actually caught the guy that stole it. He stole a few things. I got almost everything back, but I am still missing a Boss salt spreader, a steel Boss salt spreader, and I was missing this hedge trimmer still. So pretty much all I'm missing now is just my Boss salt spreader. So anyway, I said, it wasn't him. He's like, oh, thank goodness, because I actually like that guy that brought it in, and I would have hated for him to have been the one that stole this. So anyway, I went and picked it up. Let me show you what the hedge trimmer is. It's this big one too. Let me turn this around. So it's this hedge trimmer right here. I'm really happy to have it back, especially we're getting into shrub pruning season here shortly. I just bought a pole pruner, so this is going to be nice to have this one back. So actually, I met the guy, and and I started talking to him. I was actually really curious how he ended up with the hedge trimmer, where it was, and anyway, he told me it was at a pawn shop, and he would actually like for me and him to go to the pawn shop so we can talk to the pawn shop about what happened, because he doesn't want anything to do with it, and I told him, hey dude, I totally understand. I know it wasn't you. We actually caught the guy that stole it, but he didn't know where the hedge trimmer was anymore. So anyway, we went to the pawn shop. I didn't want to cause any problems. I didn't want the pawn shop dealer to be out any money. The reason why the pawn shop was able to sell it was because at the time I didn't have the serial number, and I totally forgot that my mechanic shop, they record all the serial numbers that come in. So I could have called them and gave that number to the police department, but all the other equipment that was stolen, it was fairly new, so I still had all my receipts here in the shop, so I was able to give them all that. So all that stuff they found has made it back to me over time, but this hedge trimmer didn't. So I didn't want to cause any problems. I didn't want the pawn shop to be out any money, so I just paid the guy that bought it, paid him back what he paid the pawn shop, and I just didn't want to have any problems. I thought that was the right thing to do, especially that because neither of those people, knew that it was stolen. I actually have dealt with that pawn shop in the past before. They've always worked with me when I've had stuff stolen. It seems like that's the place everybody goes to, and they've always been super cool to work with. And so I just thought this time I'm gonna pay this guy so that we just all go on, go back to our normal routines or whatever. Anyway, after talking with the guy. He's a cool dude. He's a small one-man band show where he mows 18 properties and maintains them, and I don't know. So I got to talking with him, and I'm like, hey, so he's new in the area actually. He's just moved here this year. And so he doesn't know like when the mow season ends. So I started talking to him about that, started letting them know to be prepared for this, because this is coming up, the garden cleanup season, leaf cleanups, shrub pruning, that's all coming up. And so he was, I don't know, so we had a pretty good conversation. And then he was talking about that when he found out where my shop was, he says that he sees my shop almost every day when he comes and has lunch next door, and he sees my crews loading up and all the workers loading up, and that if I was hiring, and I was like, you know what, actually I am. And so anyway, we got talking about that. He still wants to maintain his properties, but he's thinking when the fall season comes, maybe he'll come back and check out if there's any room for him here, and then maybe for next year. So anyway, so that was kind of cool. I got my hedge trimmer back. I actually never thought I'd see this back. The service shop actually looked it over for me on the house, and they sharpened the blades, and they said it's running really good. So I'm really excited to be able to have another hedge trimmer, so we can start, you know, when the season starts, I don't have to buy another one. I think that's going to be really cool. So anyway, I just thought I'd share the good news. So what I would recommend is write down all your serial numbers and have them on a sheet of paper, so that if in case something does get stolen, you have all that information in front of you, and you can give that to, you know, the police or the pawn shop or your dealer, whoever you need to give that information to. You know, you won't be stuck like me going, well, there's a hedge trimmer that somebody stole, but I don't have the serial number to it. So there's nothing really I could have done. You know, the pawn shop could have, the dude had the right to keep it and not sell it back to me. He actually did, because I didn't have a serial number attached to it, other than I did have a serial number put at the mechanic shop. So I probably could have somehow got it back without paying anything, being that I did file a report about a hedge trimmer, and if you put 2 and 2 together, I'm sure everybody would have figured out that was mine. But legally, he could have kept it. I don't know, but he's a super cool guy, and I just wanted to make sure that we were all going to be on good terms. So I just paid the guy because it's a good hedge trimmer, and I'm glad to have it back. So anyway, it's all good.